What's going on, everybody, and welcome to NFL Week 6, or as we like to call it, Attack of the Running Backs. This is the Points Per podcast. My name is Will. Joins me my co-host Eric. Eric, how you feeling today, brother?
Feeling good, man. Ready to jump into this recap. Like you mentioned, running backs really dominated the fantasy landscape this week, so that was exciting to see. Also, less exciting, lots of injuries and some of the worst football games I've seen played in quite some time. So I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, we will definitely get into that. We'll talk about that one pretty early on in this process too. But the first one we're going to talk about, we're going to jump back to Thursday. We're going to talk about the Eagles and the Giants game, or as we like to call it, the Cam Scatterbo legacy game right here, because he
Yes,
had an
sir.
absolute day. What are your feelings about this Giants team that's actually been really fun to watch so far this year?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway is it's a lot of fun. Like even though they're still not a very good football team, they did just beat the Eagles, so credit where credit is due. I don't think that that's going to be like a consistent theme of them playing to that level, but it's certainly a lot of fun to watch. And Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo are proving to be really valuable fantasy assets. With Tyrone Tracy back in this one, we actually saw Scatabo post his highest usage rate of the season. And so a question I want to pose to you is Scatterbo a top 12 fantasy running back rest of season?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely believe so. I think this has just been indicative of the fact that even Tyrone Tracy being back, they may be trying to ramp him back up, but even if that is the case, I think this is Cam Scadabo's backfield. I think he has earned it at this point. When it comes to how much he's targeted out of the backfield, just how many carries he's getting, and the valuable touches he's getting, because he is by far definitely the goal line option for this
Yeah,
team. I don't see them ever going back to Tyrone Tracy for that. So, yeah, I think by far and away, this is Cam Scadaboo's backfield.
absolutely. And with Dart, I just wanted to mention this stat here. He's averaged 55.7 rushing yards per game in his 3 starts so far this season. It's higher than both Josh Allen and Justin Fields. I think he's graduated from like the high end streamer territory to legit top 12 option himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets it done on the ground. What are your predictions on nicknames for these two? I'm looking at the Smash Bros right now, little Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, I like Smash Bros. I don't know if I have like tandem nicknames for them. Yeah, what do you are there other options that you've heard?
That's my main one that I've been rolling with so far. Or
I
even like a
like it.
Wario, Waluigi type thing. They might come up with something just because the height difference. But I love
Yeah.
watching these guys play. They've made the Giants fun to watch. And just outside of them too, some guys who have been big for this Giants offense in lieu of Malik Neighbors being gone. Lil Jordan Humphrey, someone who was targeted a lot, could have had a bigger game if he had come down with a touchdown catch early in the game as well. So this is just to show that he is someone they look to in situations like that, and also just the athletic profile. The guy's gigantic and pretty fast as well. So someone who could just be someone for this offense. And then Wandale Robinson, obviously getting hyper targeted as well in this offense in lieu of also Darius Slayton going down as well for this
hmm
team.
Yeah, I think that volume for Wandale is going to continue, but I wouldn't expect necessarily this high end of fantasy production to be consistent. The touchdown was a little fluky, kind of a broken play situation, but he is going to get hyper targeted.
Absolutely. And then taking a look at the Philadelphia side of the ball, obviously a little bit more frustrating. This game did not go the way I'd imagine Philly fans thought it should have. Not a bad day for the weapons, but also not a great day. What are your takeaways from this Eagles team with all this flux?
This offense is in a really bad spot, man. Like, offensive line has lots of injuries. I think they're underperforming just compared to last season, even for the guys that are healthy. The run game, as a result, has been really inefficient and lacking explosive plays, which was the bread and butter of this offense last year. I don't think that their OC, Kevin Patullo, is working around Jalen Hurts' strengths right now. It seems like there needs to be more screens, RPOs, moving pockets, but like the entire passing offense has kind of been built out of like checkdowns and Hail Marys, basically. It's
Yeah.
either shorten in the flat or he's throwing it deep. So I don't think this is just a matter of, hey, we need to pass the ball more, because we've seen them do that and it's still not really resulting in what we want to see. There needs to be like a full on philosophy change or an offensive coordinator change. I will say, though, that the real beneficiary of the current offense, if it stays as status quo, is Dallas Goddard. He saw a 34% target share in this one, and he's been above 30% twice on the season. Like, genuinely top 8 option if things don't change.
Yeah, can we, before we go a little bit further, can we just talk about the volatility of the tight end position this year and how no one who has gotten drafted as an elite tight end has just been here, while as I feel like all the waiver wire guys have been popping off this year. What's going on with
Yeah.
the tight ends this year, man?
It's strange. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that would argue that this is what they expected. I don't know that that's really truly the case. You couldn't have expected this outcome. And Trey McBride's
Yeah, he's been
he's been
extremely
fine
solid. Yeah, I'm
this
leaving
past
him out
week.
of it. He's been great.
Yeah. And hopefully we see better things from Bowers when he comes back healthy. We'll talk about
Yes,
that game and what Michael Mayer saw. But yeah, very interesting season so far. I'll give you that.
absolutely. God, you can just look at a score for a game and you can tell it's an ugly game, and this one was as ugly as they come right here.
Yeah, this is what I was referencing. This is maybe the worst game I've had to sit through in quite some time. If you don't mind, can we start with the Jets side of the ball?
Absolutely. What? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Justin Fields is horrendous. He's so bad. We knew this, right? Like this isn't any surprise, but man, the stat in this one was that if you include yards lost from sacks with his passing yards, he had negative 10 yards for the game, which I think was the worst since like 1997 or something. In that combination of stat with sack yardage and passing yardage, just an abysmal game from them. The offense can't function with him at the helm. I think there's a real chance that he could get benched for Tyrod Taylor, which seemed like a crazy thing to say during the offseason. Like we knew this team was going to be bad, and so we thought that they were going to ride it out, but this is even worse than I expected. And then, okay, so a positive, I think, is that Brees Hall's role without Braylon Allen actually has been really, really good, but the offense has been so bad that like the fantasy output kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's one positive takeaway is that we thought Isaiah Davis would kind of just step right into that Braylon Allen kind of role, but Brees Hall kind of ran away with it. But this is just a putrid offense, really, for lack of better words. It's just been terrible. At no point during this game did Justin Fields ever really look comfortable in the pocket at all. And, that's one, I guess, in the tribute to, Denver's defense, but just also how bad this offense is operating with him at the helm. They can't really get into any rhythm. Even one of the announcers said it at the beginning of the game, and it literally rang true for the rest of it. It was just get them in a bad position on third down, and they're not going to be able to convert. And that was just the story of this one. And it affected everybody down the line. Mason Taylor, not able to get anything done. Garrett Wilson, not able to get anything done, and also popping up on the injury chart, on the injury list now.
Yeah.
So, not great for that as well.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning. We don't have the specifics yet, but it's listed as a knee injury. Jeff Mueller, one of the Twitter fantasy doctors, said that he does expect him to come back in week 7 just off initial speculation. But worst case scenario, he's awaiting the MRI results. He thinks it's possible that there could be a meniscus tear, but not betting on that.
Yeah, so we're hoping for better news on that. Hopefully, it's nothing crazy, but be prepared in case. That is just an update.
Yeah.
And looking at the Denver side of things, again, neither of these offenses were good, so it's really tough to find any takeaways from this. Bo Nix, he didn't look terrible in this game, but he also didn't really look great. What do you think about Bo Nix these past few games? Because I feel like the last two were more positive. They were trending in a positive direction, and then you have a game like this to follow that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been trending more positive for fantasy production, but I've been really uh, the opposite of impressed with Bo Nix so far this season. Like I was hoping that he would kind of build off of the rookie year that he had, but I think he's regressed more than anything. It's a weird week. They played in London, and so maybe it was a travel thing, or I don't know. But the Jets' defense has been atrocious so far this point in the season, and so to have such a poor offensive performance across the board from this team was really surprising. Also worth noting, two things just really quickly. RJ Harvey's role is not growing. We were really hoping to see something happen there, and we still haven't gotten that. And then Cortland Sutton has just weirdly alternated between like good games and bad games each week of the season. I don't have a good explanation for it, but that's a trend I've noticed so far.
Yeah. I think that when looking at Denver, I guess another a little takeaway from it as well, Evan Ingram has been getting ramped up a little bit more as he's been getting healthier as well. So I don't know. I think maybe we just didn't know how this offense was going to run and to start the season out, but I don't know. There's just nothing really to take away from this game except just a lot of ugliness.
Yeah, it's just bad all around.
Yeah. So we are here now at the Arizona Indianapolis game. The Kyler Murray-less Arizona team with Jacoby Brissett at the helm actually looking a little bit better than Kyler Murray has. What are your thoughts on the Arizona offense over here?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. I don't want to throw Kyler under the bus too much. I do think he's a talented quarterback, but just his fit with this offense and this scheme, Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, I haven't thought it was a good one for all of last season and including this season. I think Jacoby Brissett is better for the fantasy outcomes of everybody in this offense and probably just better for the offense as a whole, considering they competed with one of the better teams in football in the Colts in this one. We'll have to see how long Kyler is out. But yeah, I was very impressed with Jacoby.
Yeah, I think all the weapons on the receiving side of things just kind of looked all around better, a little bit more dangerous with Jacoby Brissett back there, especially Marvin Harrison. Even before he got injured, he was looking pretty primed to have a big day before he went down with that concussion. And we're waiting to see more about that in the protocol to see where he can get on that, if he can get back in the field this week or if he has to sit out this week or not. And then
Yeah.
looking at the running back room, which has gotten a lot more confusing. Bam Knight named the lead runner. I saw for a while he had 1 rush for 1 yard and a touchdown, and then no carries for a while. I think Michael Carter was the leader in rushes for a while during this game, but also not getting it done. What are your thoughts on this Arizona backfield?
I think Adam Schefter is very thankful that Bam Knight found his way into the end zone. Otherwise, people would have been really upset with him. Michael Carter's reign of dominance lasted all of one game, which I think is unfortunate because I think he's still the better runner between the two. But it does seem like the team kind of trusts Bam Knight more in the red zone and by the goal line. But with that being said, I don't know that I can really trust either of these guys to be consistent starters in my lineup. I wouldn't be excited to be trotting them out there week in and week out.
Yeah, absolutely. A muddy situation just got even muddier, honestly.
Yeah.
And now talking about a good offense, apparently, the Indianapolis Colts, Indiana Jones getting it done again, both through the air and on the ground, and Jonathan Taylor keeping his reign going as well this season, over 100 yards again and another touchdown. What are your thoughts on this Indianapolis offense that just, I guess, is the truth at this point?
They're so good, man. It's crazy. Like, we talked about this off air even like coming into the season, we had such low expectations for this offense and this quarterback room. But they've blown all of that out of the water. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor. He continues to crush. We don't need to spend too much time on that. But the receiving group I thought was really, really impressive in this one. From Ryan Heath on Twitter, Tyler Warren commanded a 30% target share yesterday. It's the second time that he's done that this season. And I thought this was a cool insight that he brought up. It took until week 11 of last year for Brock Bowers to hit a 30% target share for the second time. So his incorporation into this offense has been expedited. Even though he's a rookie, he was, the leading receiver and caught a touchdown in this one. So he looks great. Alec Pierce came back healthy, and I thought he added a level of dynamism to this offense that it's been missing a little bit without his downfield presence. And Josh Downs, really involved and efficient as always.
Absolutely. Like you said, the only person I think took a hit this week was Michael Pittman Jr. It seemed like
Hmm.
he got schemed out just a little bit, but at the same time, it's still not a bad day for the guys. Like, the offense is just moving at a really good rate. So I think any given week, any of these guys could really pop off. That's kind of how I feel about this offense at this point. But consistently seeing good things from the guys is awesome. And
Absolutely.
and also prayers to Charvarius Ward and Anthony Richardson, the 2 freak accidents before the game, 2 freak injuries before the game. Anthony
Yeah.
Richardson hitting himself with a elastic band during a workout, fracturing his orbital, and Charvarius Ward getting hit by a backup tight end, getting a concussion. Just freak accidents there, really.
Yeah. Crazy scenes. We hope that they recover quickly.
Absolutely. All right. And now we are back to one of those games where I was talking about a running back takeover, one expected, one not so expected. Kamani Vidal of the Chargers, someone who we liked a lot last year throughout the pre-draft process, and somebody who emerged this week who we didn't think was going to get the opportunity due to, like you said, Mr. Adam Schefter and his reports. But what are your thoughts on the Chargers offense and how they got rolling?
Yeah, I mean, Hassan Haskins certainly wasn't the lead back in this one, but all credits to Kamani Vidal. Like you said, this is a guy that we really liked in the pre-draft process. I was going to talk about his volume. He received a 75% backfield carry share in this one, 10.5% target share, and he had the only carry inside the 10-yard line, which I thought was really encouraging, just considering the size difference. We thought Hassan Haskins would at least be the goal line back, but he didn't get that opportunity in this one. He had a fantastic day for fantasy in PPR, over 20 points. But I do at least want to put like a tiny bit of an asterisk against that one, considering he was doing it against the Dolphins, who I
Yeah.
believe have given up 4 20-plus point performances to running backs through 6 weeks so far.
Yeah, it's a good performance. You just got to squint at it a little bit,
Just a tiny bit.
just
Yeah.
a little bit. And looking at the receiving side of things, Ladd McConkey able to perform very well this week in lieu of QJ being absent. I do have a question about Ladd McConkey. Do you think this is more of an indicator of things down the line, or do you think when QJ gets back, things are just going to go back to more of what they were before?
So I think that's a tough question to answer. I think it's a good one to be asking. I have a stat here. So QJ through the first 5 weeks, or sorry, Ladd McConkey through the first 5 weeks with Quentin Johnston had a 19% target share. That bumped all the way up to 24% in this one. We've also seen Keenan Allen's target share drop the past 2 weeks in favor of Ladd McConkey. So maybe that pecking order is coming back to normal, or it's just variance. It's really hard to say. I don't necessarily think that we're going to get like the late round 2, early round 3 Ladd McConkey that we hoped we were going to get, even when QJ comes back. But yeah, I do think it's going to be better than we got through the first 5 weeks.
Absolutely. I think brighter days are ahead for Ladd. I think
Yeah.
so. And then I know the Dynasty guys are happy. Redraft somebody who's possibly a streaming option. Aronde Gadsden at the tight end position, able to have another big week, very high targeted as well, 8 targets, able to bring in 7 of them for 68 yards. Just somebody the offense is looking to that they talked about in the pre-draft process, that they talked about after they drafted, they talked about in training camp, and now it's starting to come out into the field. So keep an eye on that and the streaming option for sure. And Trey Harris also getting involved with QJ's absence as well. So just big news for the Dynasty guys out there.
Absolutely. And then one last note, somebody that didn't play in this one, Amarian Hampton. The reports right now are that he's expected to miss more than just the 4 weeks with the IR designation. I got to pull it up. Here it is. Jeff Mueller, the guy that I referenced earlier in terms of injury news, he says, given the impact mechanism, this is another piece of intel that makes him think that there could be a fracture involved. That or the defender's shin caused an impact tear or impact tear of a perineal muscle. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what he's talking about, to be honest with you. But his speculation is that the Chargers have a week 12 bye. And so he's leaning towards maybe a week 13 return with the information that they have right now.
Yeah, I remember when he went down with the injury, a lot of people were describing it as he jammed his ankle. So with that kind of being like the terminology, I would imagine, yeah, it's a little bit more serious than they thought it was, just because it sounds a little serious to me. Like you said, I'm not a doctor, but a jammed ankle doesn't sound great.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Definitely need to monitor that situation.
Yeah. And then looking at the Miami Dolphins side of the ball, still losing, but the weapons got it done. At least Devon Achane got it done for sure, and Jalen Waddle got it done for sure.
Okay.
And Darren Waller still able to find the end zone as well.
Yeah, he had his lowest target share so far of the season in this one, but his highest route participation rate at 81%. So we've seen that steadily rise each of the 3 weeks that he's been active.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing positive, too much to really take away from the Dolphins as a team, but I mean, besides Devon Achane, he's amazing. He's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have to talk about that. He's amazing. He's great. He's the GOAT. But in terms of everybody else in Tua, this offense just isn't really humming the way it's supposed to be. It's still kind of rough, but at least our key guys are getting it done that are out there.
Yeah. So a couple notes on that. Without Tyreek Hill, I think Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle have really benefited. Specifically with Achane, in the 2 weeks since Tyreek has been out, he's seen a 19% target share, and he's also been given 2 of the 2 backfield carries inside the 5-yard line. He hasn't been getting those vultured by Ollie Gordon, so that's fantastic for fantasy. And Jalen Waddle has also been performing very, very well and is the clear wide receiver 1. The only thing I'm worried about is that the whole regime might be getting canned soon. And so we could see totally different outlooks for all of these players. We'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, man. I've been seeing some tweets, man. I'm praying for Devon Achane to the Chiefs. That would be a movie.
That would be sick.
Damn, bro. Ravens that bad. They got you watching Patriots Saints. And next up is going to bring us to what I believe is a ballot for Drake May in an MVP campaign because he has been
For real.
absolutely stellar so far this season. But I'm going to let you go ahead and take that right there because I know you're excited to talk about this Patriots offense.
Yeah, he's an absolute star, man. He like you mentioned it already. I was going to bring it up as well. I think he deserves some MVP votes this year, and especially with their schedule, I think they're going to end up winning a lot of games. They're already 4-2. He's going to be in position to be in that race for MVP. I think, which is really impressive to see, especially with the wide receiver group that he has to work with. He's also had, for fantasy purposes, 3 games over 23 fantasy points through 6 weeks. So I think he's been a steal in that regard. A guy that you could get, past the 9th or 10th round in a lot of fantasy drafts, at least one quarterback. So yeah, I've been incredibly impressed with him. And his day could have been even bigger. He had 2 pretty questionable calls go against him that took like 100 yards of passing off the board and a touchdown. So this could have been like a crazy, ridiculous day for him.
Absolutely agree. Now, when we're taking a look at the receiving side of things, though, right? Because we're talking about Drake May, he's doing amazing. Looking at the receivers, we thought this was going to be, the Stephon Diggs show. And then did he end up going down with an injury of some sort during this game? I wasn't watching it live. So it's not looking great for Stephon Diggs in this offense because Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas are still very much parts of this offense when we thought they were getting phased out a little bit.
So I'm going to push back on that just a little bit. I think this is variance. Demario Douglas has been woefully uninvolved up till
Okay.
this point. I'm not saying that he's a total zero or that he's not going to have spike weeks like this, but I don't expect this level of involvement. Also, basically all of his touches were just like these crazy broken big plays. Kayshon Boutte, I think, deserves more involvement. I think he's actually been really impressive on film so far this season. But this is a spot where if people are worried about Stephon Diggs, I'd be looking to buy low. He had some stuff called back due to penalty himself, and his route participation rate continues to grow as he gets closer to healthy. Still not like as high as we want to see it in that like 90+% range, but it's definitely moving up. So yeah, if somebody's getting worried off of this game, I'd be willing to buy.
I absolutely agree. I wanted to bring that up just because I've seen people talking about that a lot
Yeah.
lately, and I don't think that's the case as well.
I will say this is probably not too dissimilar from like how Josh Allen kind of spreads the ball out in
Mhm.
Buffalo. But I do think Stephon Diggs, especially once he gets back to 100%, is by far and away the most talented receiver here. And so when
That's
they
gonna
need it,
translate.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then taking a look at the running back room, the Trevion Henderson hate train continues. Ramondre Stevenson continues to hold this backfield. Now, I just want to ask you about this because this channel we used to love Ramondre Stevenson. We
Yeah,
were a huge
absolutely.
Ramondre Stevenson channel. What are your opinions on this situation as it stands right now?
I mean, he's fumbled like 10 times already. I don't know what the actual number it is, but it feels like double digits. It's not like he's a terrible football player, but he definitely outperformed what his prospect profile was coming into the NFL. And really since like his first two seasons in the NFL, I don't think he's been nearly as impressive. He's just kind of the vet that for some reason this team continues to trust. You can see right there, 1.4 yards per carry. I don't know, man. Like it's not like Travion has blown us out of the water. It's not like he's crazy or he hasn't flashed a ton, but he deserves more than what he's getting right now, I think.
Yeah, I think he at least deserves it to give us the opportunity to show us at this point. But you know, who knows what this offense is going to keep doing at this point with the running back side of things. But they're getting it done through the air, so
Yeah,
I think Mike Vrabel's just like, we'll figure it out.
I guess.
And then taking a look at New Orleans, what are our takeaways from the New Orleans side of the ball besides Chris Olave able to get more than 50 yards this week?
Hey, love
Yeah,
to see it. Yeah, I think he's been over a 30% target share in like 5 out of 6 games. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been crazy usage, just not great production.
yeah,
But I'm still starting him every week. You love to see the role that he has in this offense. The one that I'm upset about, but it was starting to become predictable, is that Jawan Johnson's run as a high-end tight end option has definitely come to an end. His target share has been steadily decreasing from week 2 until now, going from 27% down each week all the way down to 8% this week. And then I think The last thing is just that Kendre Miller's kind of rank in the stash hierarchy took a hit based on the pregame reports that Alvin Kamara does not want to go anywhere and the team won't be trading him.
Yeah, he said he wants to retire a Saint, so
Yeah.
gonna be a bit of a roadblock right there. Kendrick Miller fans gonna have to wait a little bit, but he is still young, so there's time.
And looks really good, I think. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna full disclosure. I didn't watch any of this game. You probably couldn't have paid me to watch this game, but also I just saw that Dylan Gabriel threw the ball 52 times.
Yeah. They probably shouldn't be doing that.
Didn't look like he did much with it, but he threw the ball 52 times.
Yeah.
I guess just to take a look at the weapons for Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy, someone I've been talking a lot of junk about on the channel lately, and that usually means something crazy is going to happen. So 13 targets for Jerry Jeudy. Wasn't able to do a whole lot with it, but 13 targets and the volume is there. And Harold Fannin able to benefit from David Njoku leaving the game early as well. What's David Njoku's status?
Yeah, so just to clarify on that, he did leave early, but only for a couple plays, and then
Okay.
returned, and then left for good from the game. I think with like 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter or something like that. But I thought Harold Fannin was really impressive in this one, even while Njoku was still in the game. Overall, he posted a 19.2% target share and resulted in, I think, at least in PPR scoring, his best fantasy performance of the season. I don't have a status update on Njoku and what he looks like going forward, but if he is missing time, Harold Fannin becomes a lock in most people's lineups.
Absolutely. And then someone else who is steadily just getting a lot of targets in this offense as well every week, Isaiah Bond, still getting very targeted, not doing a whole lot with it, but
Yeah.
they're trying to get him involved. So he's not someone I'm super excited about this year. I'll say that again, but in future years, possibly someone that could be ramping up in the future.
Yeah, and then just one more thing on this offense. Quinshon Judkins saw his lowest usage since his season debut. Just he might not be quite as game script proof as we originally thought. They were kind of riding him regardless of whether they were losing or not, but in this one they clearly favored the pass.
Absolutely. And then taking a look at the Steelers side of things, Aaron Rodgers continuing to just kind of be solid back there,
I
continuing
hate
to just do his
this.
job. And they continue to win.
Bothers me to no end.
And also, since we've talked about DK Metcalf, I'm pretty sure he has scored a touchdown every game since. He continues to be very touchdown dependent, I will say. He's not doing a whole lot with the volume that he has, but he's been finding the end zone every week, so we can't really say anything about him.
Yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut about that, I guess. The running back room, though, I do want to talk about. It's a full three-way split. It's really gross. It's going to be hard to flex any of these guys week in and week out. Kenneth Gainwell has taken over the majority of the passing role. I think he got 6 targets in this one. Does it say? Yeah,
Yep,
six
six
targets in this
targets.
one compared to Jalen Warren's 2. So that sucks because I thought Jalen Warren was really impressive so far this season. And Caleb Johnson has worked in terms of carry share. Where is it? 48% for Warren, 26% for both Johnson and Gainwell. So not something you want to have in your lineup, really.
Yeah, and I will say also the tight end room, gross as well. Pat
Yeah.
Fryermuth not playing. Darnell Washington leading the tight end room in snaps and targets.
Yeah. You kind of called that one jokingly, but
Yeah.
it's coming to fruition.
But it makes sense for Arthur Smith, that Jonnu Smith and
Yes.
Darnell Washington are the two guys that are out there the most.
Why not, right? Might
Yeah.
as well.
And that is going to bring us to Panthers Cowboys, or as I like to call it, the continuance of Rico Dowdle dominance, the league winner himself, Mr. Rico Dowdle. Do you think that even if Chuba Hubbard comes back next week, this goes back to him 100%? Because I don't at this point.
100%? No, there's zero chance. Zero chance of that. Rico Dowdle is a monster. I want to give credit where credit is due to him. He's put up, I think, 473 all-purpose yards these last 2 weeks, 66 fantasy points. If you compare that to Chuba over the first 4 weeks of the season, he had 311 yards and only 56 fantasy points. So he's crushing him in that regard. I think he absolutely deserves to stay the starter. But I think it's worth noting that Chuba is a captain on this team. He's heavily invested in terms of his contract. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Rico. He's been incredibly impressive. but he's done it against two of the worst defenses in football. So another reason to just kind of put a little bit of an asterisk next to it. So I think it's going to be somewhat of a committee, but I'm at least hopeful that Rico is going to be the leader of it.
Yeah, I'd expect other defenses to be a little bit more buckled up, as Rico put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that at the end of the day, Rico Dowdle has earned at least a 50% share. I think it's going to be a good split between the two. But honestly, if they started leaning towards Rico Dowdle more as the season went along, I would not even be shocked at all.
Not even a little. He was also the leading receiver in this one, which is wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
But shout out to Tat getting his first 2 NFL touchdowns. That was pretty cool.
Yes, Tataroa able to get it done. First of many.
Absolutely.
And then taking a look at the Dallas side of the ball, again, Dak Prescott putting in another ballot for MVP as well. He's just been playing extremely well this season. It's just the defense is not doing them any favors at all. But between him and George Pickens, good
Can we
night.
victory lap? Can we
Good night.
victory lap George Pickens?
Yeah,
oh
go
my
for it.
goodness, bro. Like what I should have checked before we hopped on here, but I think last week he was the wide receiver 6 after this nearly 30-point performance in half PPR. So I think probably over 30 in PPR. He's got to be closing in on wide receiver 1, like legitimate wide receiver 1 overall territory. I do expect CD to come back next week, but these guys will feed off of each other. We've seen this. This is what we talked about all through the offseason. This offense is the 2024 Bengals. They're airing it out. Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level, and Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, hopefully if he's recovered from his ankle injury, are just going to feast in this offense. It's been so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. Like CeeDee Lamb comes back, George Pickens going to continue to eat. It's just guys like Jalen Tolbert and Ryan Flournoy, they're going to get factored back onto the bench. That's all that's going to happen, guys. Those two are just going to take whatever space they were taking up.
Yeah. And then I do want to talk about Javonte Williams, kind of another spot like we talked about with Stephon Diggs, where if people are worried after this performance versus what we thought was going to be an easy matchup in the Carolina Panthers, I would be looking to buy low. It was easily his worst fantasy game of the season, but the workload was still elite. 81% carry share, 23.5% target share at the running back position. I'm not anticipating that people are going to be looking to sell off of this one bad game, but if they are, definitely try to make a move.
Absolutely. All right. So there's a game every week that I got to apologize to someone. And this week's apology goes to Brian Thomas Jr. I am sorry. All right. You are still good. You still got it. And this week could have been even bigger than it was. I think a 50-yard touchdown got called back as well from Brian Thomas Jr. as well. So a big week that could have been even bigger. I do apologize.
So just a little bit more context on all of that. The touchdown that got called back. Unfortunately, Travis Hunter lined up offsides. He said in the post-game presser that he checked with the side judge and thought that he was lined up correctly. Turns out he wasn't. But also that was super fluky. That should have been a pick. Like it was bobbled by the cornerback twice before Brian Thomas kind of snatched it. So whether he deserved that touchdown or not, I think that's debatable. But either way, it was wiped off the board. And then he had another crucial drop as this team was driving and trying to come back in the fourth quarter. So it's not all the way back to what we want to see from BTJ, but certainly signs of life are always encouraging.
Yeah, it's just good to see them trying to get him out there and get him some more confidence, and they haven't given up on him yet. So, and then he was able to at least have a pretty good day.
Mm-hmm. And also another note, Travis Hunter saw an 86% route share, which is a season high. Did almost nothing with it, so that sucks, but we're moving maybe in the right direction. We'll see.
And then on the other side of the ball, Mr. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba continues to get it done again. 54% target share this week. 54%. If you guys don't believe that they go to him every time they need something, I don't think there's anything else that's really going to show you. This guy has been targeted at such a historic clip at this point. What are your thoughts on the Seattle side of things?
This has been so impressive. So, okay, I had this thought this morning. You remember last year, the first 2 weeks of the season, everybody thought that the Saints were going to be the breakout offense of 2024?
Yes.
And then Olave got hurt, Rashid Shaheed got hurt, Derek Carr reverted back to ass, and Clint Kubiak wasn't thought of as highly anymore.
Yep.
Clint Kubiak, man, he's balling, and Sam Darnold is balling. Another guy that should probably be getting some MVP consideration. He's killing it right now. Jackson Smith and Jigma, like literally breaking charts. Like if you look at yards per route run and like success rate and all of this analytical stuff, he's just like as far as you can get into the top right quadrant, like above Puka, which is crazy to say. You mentioned over 50% target share in this one. That's the second time he's done that this season. Has the 2 highest target share rate games of anybody all season. So I can't talk higher about this passing game than that.
And I would just like to remind people as well, whenever anybody asks any of the other Ohio State boys who the best Ohio State receiver is in the NFL right now, all of them have been saying Jackson Smith and Jigba since
Yeah.
he's been in the league.
Yeah.
So please take note, and yeah, he's here.
The only unfortunate note here is the backfield split continues to be very frustrating.
Oh my god.
Neither of them were very efficient in this game. Jacksonville actually has a really strong run defense, and so that explains that a little bit. But man, Charbonnet has been so bad. Like he's been the worst in the league in terms of creating explosive plays, but also has one of the highest stuff rates in the league. I don't understand why they keep giving him the ball.
Yeah, I don't either, and it's not even in a space to say that like Kenneth Walker's been playing bad and that's why they've been splitting the opportunities. Now, this wasn't a great game for Kenneth Walker, but historically and just through this season, he has been very efficient. He's been great
Yeah.
with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they want this to be a split. Like I think they just want this to be a split at this point.
Like I think there's a certain level of trust they have in Charbonnet to hit the right hole where Kenneth Walker is more prone to just bounce things and not like fit the actual run design. But I mean, everything says that it works when Kenneth Walker's in the game. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, you can directly see what it translates into. All right, so we're here. This one, probably the biggest news of the day from this game, but probably the least to say about this game. This one, I dropped to my knees in the middle of a target. Puka Nacua going down with an injury.
I don't want to be alive anymore. Like, can we stop? Can we can we turn off the injury button? What is going on, man?
Just cancel the season, bro. Cancel the season.
So in terms of actual analysis on that, it's still up in the air. We haven't gotten much more information, but they do have a week 8 bye, the Rams do. So it wouldn't shock me if they hold him out next week and then he returns in week 9 or 10 or something like that. But we'll have to monitor it.
Yeah, I think the only update they've given is that instead of it being a foot injury, it's now an ankle injury. So
yeah,
we don't know.
I was just going to say, I don't have a lot to say just generally. I guess positive note for the Ravens, Derrick Henry, 24 carries and 122 yards and a losing game script. That was nice for fantasy purposes for anybody that has the king. But man, I just need Lamar to come back.
Yeah, I was about to say Ravens fans don't even want to talk about the Ravens. I don't think anybody's mad if we just move forward.
Yeah, let's keep her going.
All right, and that is going to bring us to Tennessee, Las Vegas. Another good game for Ashton Genty this week. Not a great game, but a good game for fantasy for him this week. But still some struggles from this Las Vegas team, even in a win. What are your thoughts on the Las Vegas side of the ball? I mean, they were able to beat the Tennessee Titans, but that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, this is another one I was referencing in the intro. Just a terrible game to watch. Titans fans, I feel so bad for you. Genuinely, I think this is the worst team in football, and Cam Ward is playing horrendously. But sorry, you asked me about the Raiders. They're also bad. Geno Smith, also bad. They just played the worst team in football, so it didn't matter as much. You mentioned Ashton Genty. That was encouraging. His usage has been fantastic over the last 3 weeks. Michael Mayer, I think, is worth noting. In the first game that he played with Brock Bowers out, Michael Mayer became only the 4th tight end this season to post a 30% target share. I think it's also maybe a note that should be mentioned. The team isn't trying to force 12 personnel with Bowers out. They ran mostly out of 11 personnel, and so Michael Mayer was really the only tight end on the field, and that resulted in 7 targets and a big fantasy day for him.
Absolutely. People tend to forget Michael Mayer, also one of the most productive tight ends in college football history. So
he was a dog. Yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing really else to take away from this game. I don't think you guys. I mean, Tyjae Spears is getting ramped up a little bit more, so there's more encouraging usage for Tyjae Spears going forward.
2 things I wanted to note very quickly. Tyjae Spears, like you mentioned, outsnapped Tony Pollard, and so you probably don't want to be starting either of them. Mm-hmm. And Calvin Ridley did sustain a hamstring injury in this one and could be out anywhere from like 2 to 5 weeks, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but if you were starting Calvin Ridley at this point, I don't know what kind of team you got.
Yeah, it's tough.
And here we're at a game where Joe Flacco had a chance to make history, but it slipped through his fingers. Could have beat the same team twice for two
Yeah.
different teams, but fell just short. Actually, pretty impressive for a first week playing with the team to be able to perform this well and kind of reinvigorate this offense a little bit. But what are your thoughts on the Bengals now with Joe Flacco at the helm?
I think this is really encouraging. I think everything you said was spot on. Joe Flacco on a short week, his first week with the team, barely knowing the playbook, I thought performed very admirably, gave this team a chance against one of the better teams in football in Green Bay, and resurrected T. Higgins. He's a startable fantasy asset again, 5 for 62. Just that alone is, it's not what we want necessarily for where we drafted him, but decent enough to be in starting lineups. And also, he got tackled at like the 1 inch line and debatable whether he actually scored or not. But for some reason, they decided to hustle to the line and snap the ball before they got a chance to look at it. So that was a little bit weird. But Jamar Chase, hyper targeted as he should be. Yeah, I'm encouraged with Joe Flacco, and I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think at the very least, they got a guy who's back there who can at least air the ball out and get it out to them. So
Yeah,
I think they're back
to a certain extent.
to a
Yes.
certain extent. Yeah.
Chase Brown, though, on a more negative note, is continuing to lose work in this backfield. Over the past 2 weeks, he's been below 70% in terms of his backfield carry share. I think it went from 66 to 60. He's losing a lot of work to P. Ryan right now. He was the most efficient that he's been all season, I think, but just the workload isn't nearly the same as it was.
Yeah, hopefully he can pick it up a little bit more receiving wise going forward too.
I think P. Ryan's feeding into that a good bit too, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. Hopefully.
Yeah. And then taking a look at the Green Bay side of the ball, Jordan Love getting it done in a game where he looked all right. He looked pretty decent, honestly, all things considered. But for the weapons, Josh Jacobs obviously is getting it done every single week. He's been rock steady. He's someone we're not concerned about at all.
Dude, I hope y'all followed our advice. Hope y'all bought low after week 3. We were screaming it from the rooftops, and yeah, he's been great.
Absolutely. So make sure you guys are tuning in, hit that notification bell. But that being said, on the receiving side of things as well, just kind of able to get it done for everybody, but still no one taking the lead. Tucker Craft obviously is Tucker Craft. He's gonna do what he does, but he was more of a red zone feature this week. But what are your thoughts on the receiving room for the Packers so far?
Still confusing. But I thought there were some at least interesting notes to mention. I'm not exactly sure how to extrapolate them and use them for fantasy. But Matthew Golden, this looked like it was going to be a coming out party for him in the first
Yeah.
quarter. It looked like it could be like a season defining game. His usage was crazy in the first quarter. They wanted to get the ball in his hands and he looked fantastic. And then they really didn't go back to him much after that. So that was a little bit weird. I think Romeo Dobbs had a over 30% target share in this one. So he's clearly the guy that they're focused on. And then you mentioned Tucker Craft. He did get into the end zone. He's still crazy with the ball in his hands. He's very impressive yards after catch guy. But I think he only had a 6% target share in this
Yeah,
game.
you got the same amount of targets as Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, so that's a little unfortunate, but to be expected with the Packers receiving group.
Yeah, I don't think they really want a guy to emerge at this point. I think they just kind of want to do their thing.
Yeah.
All right, and this is another game that made me drop to my knees immediately in my kitchen. Mecca Igbuka, prayers up, hamstring injury of some sort that we're waiting for more news on, but I am not happy.
Nobody is, man. Yeah, again, can we stop pressing the injury button? Like it seems, I don't know. We probably say this every season, but it seems egregious in this one. Like so many of the top producing assets are going down. But in terms of what we can actually take away from it, I think Tampa Bay has a week 9 bye, so pending any news to the contrary, because I've seen some people saying it's not that serious, but it's typically a 2 to 3 week injury. I'd anticipate we don't see him back until after the bye in week 10. After he left this game, we did see Cade Otton hit a 33.3% target share. So I think he could be a startable asset going forward, considering they're going to be without Chris Godwin next week. He's been unofficially ruled out for next week. Bucky Irving's probably not going to be back. Obviously, we're not going to see Emeka Igbuka, and Mike Evans' status is still up in the air.
Yeah, it's just weird days for the Tampa Bay offense. I mean, but I will say, in lieu of all of this chaos and all these things happening, Baker Mayfield able to get it
Balling.
done. Still able to
Balling.
get it done. Getting those MVP chants out there. Sorry, Tez Johnson, those weren't for you.
That was so funny. He was like, "Me? I haven't been doing anything." It's like, no, bro, it's your QB.
It's the guy who threw you the ball, but okay.
Good catch, though. That was a good catch.
Absolutely. So just great to see that he's still able to thrive, even with all of the turmoil, still able to get it done. And Rashad White and Sean Tucker both getting it done this week on the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing really bad to say about this Buccaneers offense. Just people
Just
need to get healthy, to be honest.
absolutely.
And kind of the same theme when we're looking at San Francisco because everybody is hurt. I think they said Juwan Jennings is playing with 5 broken ribs, I think is what he said, and a
Yeah.
high and low ankle sprain.
I,
So he's
I
over
have
there claiming to
I
be
have
healthy,
no
got
doubt.
abducted.
I have no doubt that he's messed up and playing through a lot of pain, but also this is a guy that's fishing for a contract and wants to make it known that there's a reason he's not producing. I'm not going to throw the man under the bus. He's playing hurt, and I give him props for that. But I'm curious how severe the injuries really are.
I apologize for laughing. I'm not laughing at the circumstances. It's just the high and low ankle sprain is
It's
what sent
wild.
me.
It hurts here, and it hurts over here. It's like, all right,
Shit,
bro, we get it.
shit. Now that you asking, I think it hurt over, but I digress. But looking at the rest of the offense, again, Mac Jones, he's getting it done for the weapons. Even if he doesn't have great games himself, the weapons themselves are still having good games.
Yeah,
Jake Tongas continues to be a guy you can start at the tight end position and still have a good day. Kendrick Bourne, again, having a good week, even with Juwan Jennings out there, who was
yep,
playing injured as well. And then Christian McCaffrey, again, still getting hyper targeted and getting a lot of volume, even though it's not the most efficient volume, it's still volume and he's still getting valuable touches. So I can't complain about any of the weapons. I'm sorry if you're starting Mac Jones out there. He didn't have a great day, but this offense for the weapons, they're still moving the way they're supposed to be. They just need to pull it together on the team side.
yeah. It's not even Mac Jones's fault, really. Like the offensive line, I think, has played terribly. And so the fact that he's been able to facilitate all of these great fantasy performances for the weapons, I think, is really impressive. And I think he's probably earned himself a contract on another team next season. When Brock Purdy comes back healthy, he's still the established starter. And even Mac Jones has said that. But I think he's going to make himself some money. Christian McCaffrey, like you mentioned, his workhorse role is unbelievable. His expected fantasy points for the season are outpacing everybody by a mile. And yeah, I think the Kendrick Bourne connection with Mac Jones is so funny. I can't remember exactly what the stat was, but like he hadn't been over 100 yards receiving in his 9-year career more than like once. But then in back-to-back weeks, he hits exactly 142 yards. So yeah, shout out to him. And Jake Tongas, you mentioned already, but his fantasy viability probably comes to an end. I anticipate Kittle comes back next week.
Absolutely. So it was a good run for
Yeah.
Jake Tongas. And finishing up, we are at the final game of the slate. Before Monday night's game, the doubleheader, we have got Kansas City Chiefs versus the Detroit Lions. And honestly, the Chiefs have been kind of rolling on all cylinders. Patrick Mahomes looking like the old Patrick Mahomes. And that's kind of scary considering they got a guy coming back next week who is going to do some pretty bad things to some defenses. But what are your
Oh, yeah.
thoughts on this Kansas City team?
I'm very happy to see them rolling prior to Rashee Rice coming back because it's going to be fireworks when he's in the lineup, I think. Yeah, they did not appreciate getting embarrassed in the Super Bowl. And with guys healthy and back in the lineup, they're showing us what they actually want this offense to look like. Let's see. Travis Kelce, 25% target share last night, which was a season high. So that was good to see. He's been at or above 20% in 4 of 6 games, although I do think that gets impacted when Rice returns to the lineup. On the only negative note I really have, Brashard Smith, probably droppable if you were stashing him. It sounded like he was going to get ramped up last week, and then it didn't really happen, and he barely saw the ball at all in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't expect Rashee Rice to show up and for Brashard Smith to get more targets off of that either. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Oh, and shout out Mahomes. I think he put up 30 plus fantasy points in this one. We haven't seen him produce crazy numbers in a long time. This season has been good for him because he's had, geez, I can't talk right now, because he's been running the ball a lot and found the end zone as a rusher. But yeah, I expect that usage to kind of continue. Maybe a little bit less on the ground with all of his receiving weapons healthy, but he's going to continue to be very viable for fantasy.
Absolutely agree. And then taking a look at the Lions side of the ball, in a loss, I'm not going to say it was a bad game for the Lions, though, from a fantasy perspective. Jared Goff still had a pretty good game from all things considered. I think he ended up with like 17 points. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't get a ton done this week. Still had it's not a game you want to see from Jahmyr Gibbs. What are your thoughts on the Lions from this game?
So I agree with you in terms of efficiency and just overall production that it wasn't great, but I do think the usage for Jahmyr Gibbs was really encouraging.
Oh,
David
absolutely.
Montgomery saw just 4 of 21 rush attempts in this game. That's 19% rush share, which is the lowest of his career, excluding one game that he saw lower, but he left early due to injury. So I'm hoping that this is the Jahmyr Gibbs takeover. I'm not worried about him at all. Kansas City's defense has been looking better and better as the weeks go on. So yeah, it's just a tough matchup. Similar for Amon-Ra St. Brown, still 10 targets, 9 receptions, just didn't find the end zone. And the defense was clearly focused on him. I want to hear your thoughts on JMO this season. I can list out his target shares week by week if you want. So from week 1 till now, 13%, 14%, 12%, very consistent. 32%, 4%.
Okay.
Back to 26.
Yeah, bro, that just sounds kind of boomer bust to me, man. I mean, but that's kind of how J-Mo's always been to me, to be honest with you. He's one of those guys, he's either going to have a really big week for you or he's going to have, not do much for you at all, really. But I don't know. He's a bad influence on the kids I've seen.
That's that, I guess. Also, shout out to our boy Sammy Football, Sam Laporta finding his way into the end zone on a 6-target day. It's good to see him back involved after being injured for most of last season.
Oh, absolutely. Love seeing Sammy Football getting ramped back up.
Yes, sir.
That's going to go ahead and round out our video. Of course, that is again without the doubleheader for Monday night. So we're still missing 2 games. But with that being said, you guys made it this far into the video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell. That way you know when we drop all of our newest videos. And let us know in the comments down below if you had any different takeaways from this week or if we got anything wrong or right. You can let us know if we got something right in the comments too, guys. It's fine.
That'd be nice.
But with that being said, if you guys made it this far into the video, as always, we love you and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.